Hi, this is Eric, and welcome to Smart Data Special. So, on this episode, I will discuss about PC Specification Requirement. And PC stands for Personal Computer. So, we discussed earlier what a computer is. So, I'll focus on that. I'll be discussing the minimum requirement you may need to install all these devices. So, before continue, if this is the first video, on the previous video, I spoke about tools you need, which gonna be Microsoft Excel. This is a cloud-based, really, you don't need any minimum specifications. So we do have SQL Server. We're gonna be looking at this as an example. And this applies to any software you're gonna install your SQL Server. Maybe you have installed it before looking at this, but technically you may need to really know that. And I'm gonna change the color for all these here so that we can differentiate them a little bit. Okay, so operating system, we require to have at least Windows 10. Okay, it's modern, but if you have Windows 11 or if you can upgrade to Windows 11, that's even better. For those people who don't know what operating system is, operating system, actually what it does is it's a software which comes with the computer most of the times. It manages computer hardware. We learned about hardware. Softwares and programs is what we are looking right now. All these programs installed. Okay, this PowerPoint is a software. Okay, hardware, it's a mouse, keyboard, headset. We saw that before. What else? Printers, scanners, and all that. And also, it manages some kind of services. We haven't touched any services, but if you have any questions about services, we'll talk more about it later. But you can see these are services, and operating system manages all that. You can see all services. I'm not gonna go into that right now. Okay, so that's operating system. And the examples of operating system, if you've heard people talking about Macintosh, Apple, or Android, or iOS, or Linux, or Ubuntu, those are different kinds of operating system. But for this course, or if you want to install SQL Server, you may need Windows. And I think Windows 8 may work, but I think for this, I just recommend Windows 10, to be honest, so that we can install the latest version. And I'll show you guys how to look into that. The other thing is, and this Windows, I think the latest version of 2019 SQL Server you can install on really other operating system. I think they released if my memory serves me properly. But anyways, if you have a Windows computer, that would be really great. Memory, I 6 may work, but I recommend at least 8 gigabytes. And I have a video to explain all that. I have explained all that before. Um, uh, RAM stands for random access memory, and what this does is it's just a short-term memory. Whenever you type something you haven't saved, whenever you save it in a storage device, hard disk. Okay, but most of the times it's in the memory. Like when you play games, when you're writing the file and not saving them, they are somewhere in the memory. They are active tasks, and the moment you shut down everything, anything stored in the memory disappears. Okay, that's why sometimes it tells you save your work. Way back when, remember when the computer shuts down or the power goes off, you lose your work. So you advise to save every now and then. But nowadays with cloud and everything, work is saved automatically, and operating system are becoming smarter and smarter. I think whenever you close the document, it will ask if you like to save, and you're gonna say yes, and then if the computer shuts down completely, actually it's gonna save, or you're gonna keep like an unsaved version somewhere. And you can see my autosave is off, but I can turn this on and it will just be saving that for me as I type. Processor type, there's 64 and 32. Nowadays I think everything is 64, but again, I recommend 64 if you go to the store, you like to get a new computer, and if you have a choice, just get 64 bits. And whether it's Intel or AMD, um, either one is fine with me, but for some reason I prefer really Intel. And you're gonna see the price is a little bit higher. And again, for those people who don't remember where to look at, you just type system information and you can see all that information in here, whatever you're looking for. So you can see that's memory right here, RAM, and then you're gonna see Windows 10 Pro. Home Edition is fine, but Pro I use for a lot of things. And then you can see this is a 64 bit. And then the next thing is CPU. I recommend at least 2 gigabytes. And sometimes you're gonna see dual. So if it's 1.6 and dual, that means that's double. It's 3.2. So that's the processor speed. I won't get much into that, but this CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. This is like the brain of the computer. Okay, everything you do, it goes here to the CPU to get processed. And if you open the computer, I can show you where that is. And the last but not least, it's storage. I really don't care much. Nowadays, Windows 10 takes up to 60 gigabytes sometimes with all the updates and everything. So if you have 100, that means you're gonna have 40 gigabytes free. So I recommend really at least 100 gigabytes, but you can get this nowadays really cheap, like 250, 1 terabyte and all that. But this is at least the minimum I recommend. If you have 80, it should work, to be honest. HDD stand for hard drive. SDDD stand for solid state disk. This is hard drive disk. This is an old technology where you do have these magnetic plates. They spin, and you can hear sometimes in older computers. But nowadays we do have solid state, where it's way faster. Either one, to me, it's fine, to be honest. If you can get a good deal with this, as long as it's big enough, that's fine. So in other words, if you get 20 gigs of these and 100 gigs of this for the same price, just go with 100 gigs. That's my take. So let's see how we can find that. So I'm gonna go to Dr. Google here. I'm gonna type SQL Server Database Engine. I say requirement, right? Whenever you install any software, if you try to download, and you see these are ads, always skip them. I mean, most of the times I skip them really. But if you see that this is hardware and software requirement, so if you open this page here, you can see here it requires all these. Most of these are usual don't really care. You can see hard disk, it just requires 6 gigabytes. So if you have free available hard disk space, that's fine. Memory, you see it requires at least for Express, we don't want, we want the full version really. For so all other edition is 1 gig. Okay, that means it needs at least 1 gigabyte for this to run. So it doesn't take much, but if you have 8 and then you consume 7 like mine here, my memory, I think I do have 16, but I'm using already 8 halfway. That means if I run SQL and store SQL, that means I'll be consuming 9. Okay, so at least 1 gigabytes, that's fine. And you can tell this at least 4 gigabytes and should be increased as the database size increases to ensure optimal. Okay, you see that? So you allocate 4 gigabytes, meaning appending to my 8 gigabytes, maybe to be 12. Okay, but at least these are the system requirement. Really, this requires 1.4, recommended 2 or faster. Exactly. See, that's a minimum requirement. Processor types, AMD, that's fine. You can see, and we do have Intel, which is good. But look at this, 64 processors. So that means if you have 32, you may not be able to install that. You can read the note. Installation of SQL Server is supported on 64 processors only. It's no longer supported in this. So if you have this, you will not be able to install this. Stop right there. And you can see here, you can install actual on Linux as well, starting on SQL 2019. So I was right. Okay, that's the very first version you can install. So what else here? Let's scroll down. Hard disk I've already shown you. Memory I've already shown you. Processor type already I've shown you. So that's how you determine if you will be able to install a device. So for sure on a tablet, probably it's not a good idea to install that. And maybe you get some errors, you're gonna run into issues and all that. And maybe even it may install if the RAM memory is way less than 4 gigabytes, but your computer will be so slow and heavy. Okay, so I don't want to spend much time here. I've shown you guys how to do that, and that's all you need to do. Anything you install, you have to check the minimum requirement of the hardware and the software. But these are the minimum requirement. You can take a screenshot if you want and double check with your computer. And to double check with your PC, go to search and type system information, and you'll see what your computer has. Okay, so thank you very much, you guys, for watching this episode. On my next episode, I will show you guys how what recommendation I have for hardware setup, really. So I'll talk to you next in my next video. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day. Adios.